Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, March 30th, 2026. We are officially on the last Monday of the month, and definitely this has been one of those months where I was just glued into what was going on in days. I mean, last week's cliffhanger was just epic. So let's hope that this week will also be a great end to the month of March and on to the month of April. So we start off with Chanel and Johnny. So they're just emotionally exhausted because obviously, they weren't expecting Sophia to come in, and, if EJ hadn't swooped in and saved the day, they would have been potentially saying goodbye to little baby Trey. They're just happy that EJ represented them, and as much as Chanel detests EJ, she's grateful towards him for really helping them out. And even Johnny was just thankful that she even came around and said that she was thankful, because he didn't expect that after what EJ had done to her, to them. And he started talking about welcoming EJ into their lives, but on a boundary basis, meaning that they're not going to officially welcome him into the middle of their lives, but really on the edge, just discuss the boundaries between the two of them, right? Because he still is on a long road to redemption, according to Chanel. So they didn't have the party because obviously everything was going on with them at the hearing, and then also Rachel was being sent back to Bayview, so it wouldn't make sense. All the family members wouldn't be in the mood to celebrate at all. Now, Chanel is also happy that they have time together in the evening now that Theo is going back to work, and they're just glad that Trey is not aware of anything that's happening, and that they're going to do their best to make sure that he has no kind of events of that sort or anything to really harm him in his childhood. They're going to work their best to provide the best for him and their little one that's on the way. They do get a knock at the door, and we'll get into that at the end. Now, speaking of drama, little Miss Sophia, she caused a stir up in the court today, and thankfully, she did not get her way, and she stormed out. Melinda is running in her heels behind her, and she's saying that, Sophia, you need to stop this. I'm sorry that it didn't work out for you, but I told you that the chances were slim to none. And she's upset with Melinda because she felt as if Melinda did not represent her at court today. She let EJ took a hold of things, and Melinda warned her that this was going to happen, that it wasn't really a strong case. And now she's saying, how about we go get a bite to eat and you go back to Bayview? And she said, I'm hungry, but I'm not going back to Bayview. I am 18 now. I have a say-so over my life. And that was when I was underage, or I wasn't talking, so they had to make decisions. My mom had to make decisions, but I'm 18. I can control my life, and now that I cannot have a say so over my son's life, I am not going to let nobody have any control over my life. So Melinda was acting like a true mom figure in this, actually more supportive and more comforting than her own biological mother. And I'm just wondering, I haven't seen Mrs. Choi in months. What's going on with her family? Or is it that Sophia just don't want to have anything to do with them physically or see them at all? But Lord, this is just sad. Anyways, Melinda is being a true mom figure to her, not just her lawyer, but her mom figure, and saying that, Sophia, I know that we can't really have a say-so in what you do, or you signing yourself out of Bayview, but I think it's the right path for you to be there. And she doesn't want to be there because, it's just not working out there. She doesn't like the conditions there, and even though Melinda is suggesting that she doesn't go through it and she really just focus on getting better, healing, and therapy, Sophia is just tired of people controlling her life, and she just wants to say so over it. And that's understandable, but you need the help, because you're just always wreaking havoc over everything, and you're always being the victim and traumatizing everybody else, inflicting your own trauma onto everybody else. And it's just annoying at this point. I'm just over it. Now, poor Rachel is just sad that she has to come back to Bayview. She has her suitcase and everything, and she's just not liking it at all. And she is upset with her dad for bringing her back here. And she's saying, Mom is fighting hard to get me out of here. She's talking to Dr. Gregory, explaining that I don't need to be here. And Brady's saying she can do her best, but at the end of the day, it might not happen. It's a possibility that it's gonna happen. Like the judge says that you have to be here, and if you even check yourself out of Bayview, it's against the law. So she said, "What am I, a criminal?" So he said, "No, I'm not trying to paint you out as that, but we have to stay by the rules, and you're here to just get better." And she said, "Look, I just don't like it here. Like, it's a bunch of crazy people. The conditions are not really favorable. I don't like it here." And anyways, he mentioned the whole pills thing, and she's saying, "What about them?" And he's like, "What you mean, what about them? The pills that were in Holly's bottle were not her skincare supplements. It was your pills. So what is going on here? Explain to me." And she said that, "I didn't know that they were in there. I gave them to her as a gift." So he said, like, "Don't you think that's a little bit weird?" And she said, "Yeah, but I thought it was, a great thing to do." And he mentioned that it's not in there, like those were her pills. And she said, she ultimately tell him the truth about it, that Sophia was the one who kept bugging her to send them to Holly. And he said, "Didn't you think it was a bad idea that Sophia was trying to let you send something to Holly?" So she said, "At first, yes, but I thought that, it was just being kind and all of that." So poor Rachel, really and truly, she was in the right this time. She didn't know that, they were mixed up at all, and that, she was actually helping Sophia carry out an evil plan. So at the end of the day, like, she really wasn't aware. And she told Brady ultimately how this even happened is that Sophia got a phone because she stole his credit card, and she was able to get a phone, and she apologized for that, but she swears that she's been taking her medication and she's been trying to get better. And Sophia was the one who kind of, orchestrated this whole thing, and she was the one who just gave Holly the thing. So Brady hugged her, and he understands and he believes that she's been taking her meds. And he said that, "We're going to get down to the bottom of it, and I promise you that you will be in here for a short period of time, and just hang in there," right? Belle comes home after a tough court day, and she asks Marlena how she's doing, and she says she's hanging in there. She's just really concerned about Rachel and her going back to Bayview, and Belle is as well. And Marlena asks how it went at court, and she said that it went okay. It's just that the judge was upset at her about how she conducted herself throughout Rachel's custody situation, and she wants to really charge her for prosecutorial misconduct, and her career can be on the line. And it was really in full effect when it was Johnny and Chanel's not custody, but hearing. And even though it was a formality, the judge wouldn't want Belle to really have a word or say so in it at all. Still upset about how she conducted herself with Rachel's situation, so she didn't want to hear nothing from her in Johnny Chanel's situation. And Melinda and Sophia, they came in and they boycotted the whole thing. And if it wasn't for EJ, Johnny Chanel would probably not have Trey. So EJ happened to save the day. And of course, Melinda making her jokes about how EJ, what did he do, come in and with a cape or with his favorite 3-piece suit or something like that. So she said, I mean, he definitely, came in and really took care of business, So anyways, Marlena gets a call from Brady, and Brady tells her everything about Rachel not being behind the whole pill situation. It was Sophia who did it. Now she tells Belle about this because Belle didn't know about this whole mix-up, and Brady comes in on that. And she said, "How come you didn't tell me about this? It would have been nice to know when we were at the hearing." So now Brady is just asking her, like, legally, can we do something for Rachel to come out of Bayview, since it wasn't her fault that this happened? And even though it was really based on Marlena's testimony that this verdict was happening, can we just redo this thing? And Belle said, legally we can't really do much because it's done and done, like we can't go over this. And Marlena is even saying that I still, regardless of this happening and Rachel not being the one who caused this, I still believe she needs help. Like, she's a brave, resilient little girl, and she needs the help. And definitely I agree with Marlena, but Marlena, the Bayview is definitely not the place, because she's not going to survive under those conditions over Bayview, because they're not really watching them over there. And having Sophia there, all it's doing is just causing Rachel to do things that she is going to get in trouble for later on. Now, speaking of Rachel, Holly comes over at the pub and Tate's working. Tate is upset because his sister is going back to Bayview, and she's sorry to hear that. And he tells her, without much detail, he tells her that, she is going back to Bayview, and he's just sorry that it's happening because he told Rachel that she won't be in there this time, and he feels bad for letting her down, being another adult letting her down. But Holly said, look, like, she's not gonna hate you for that. It's not your fault. So he said that he's still upset with her because she messed up the whole thing with Holly, and the pill situation caused Holly to get out of the sorority. Basically messed up her plans and messed up her friendships, almost messed up their relationship. So he's upset with her, and Holly is saying that don't be upset. She has gone through a lot this year, and she's still a little girl. And I'm saying they need to stop with this little girl comment, because some of the actions before, I'm not talking now, but some of the actions before, Rachel was old enough to know better. Especially the whole Sarah thing. She knew what she was doing. But anyways, Tate is grateful that she's understanding, even though Rachel hurt her, she's still forgiving. And she said, look, I still care about her and what happens to her. But then they start talking, and finally Holly uses her senses and think about the whole encounter with her and Sophia, because they brought up the hearing and the party didn't happen. He explained why, because of Sophia and Melinda coming in, and Sophia wanted to take the baby away from Johnny and Chanel. And Holly thought about how maybe Sophia hasn't changed and she's still malicious. She still want to have a grudge against everybody, maybe even her. So she thought about that encounter where the pills got, spilled over, and it was Sophia who caused it. Now she's thinking it's intentional, and maybe Sophia was the one who kind of planted that seed, maybe put the pills in the bottle, and that's what caused Holly, to have those whole mishaps. And now, Tate is saying, yeah, maybe so. So Tate, they're okay otherwise, and nothing's going to happen to them. So they're good health-wise. It's just they think, maybe they would be working together, Rachel and Sophia. They really don't know. So many variables of how this could happen. But they think Sophia's behind this. And as they spoke about Sophia comes in the pub and she's like, hey, Tate, hey, Holly. So I'm ready for that encounter. But anyways, speaking of Sophia again, the knock at the door with Johnny Chanel, right? It was Melinda, so they're upset with her, because she just came in and spoiled up their whole hearing, and they're like, what are you really doing here now? What could you possibly have to say? And she said she's sorry about representing Sophia. She had no choice, in the whole thing with her client, and Johnny's like, you couldn't refuse the client. So anyways, she said she has something to say. So Chanel said, what could it be, after you come in here and wake up our baby? So she said, Sophia has voluntarily checked herself out of the Bayview, so you should be worried about her being around. And, she's of age now. She can come out. And so she just want to give them a heads up. So Chanel is saying, oh, Lord, I don't like the idea of Sophia just lurking around on the same day of the hearing, checking herself out of Bayview. Like, I'm worried now. So they're both worried. But maybe they need to have EJ more involved, because EJ don't play about his family at all. And, EJ will have a goons sitting around. So that's he's able to do that. But yeah, anyways, guys, this is it for today's episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys tomorrow.